Hey guys, in this video, we're going to talk about the Dr. Mundo rework, and I'm going to tell you what you need to know if you want to take your game to the next level and hit whatever rank you desire with the new Dr. Mundo. We will go over his strengths, weaknesses, a couple of the matchups, and then my final top tips to carry in solo queue. This is why Dr. Mundo is your ticket to Diamond. Hey, if we haven't met yet, my name is Snowta, and I make these videos to help you get better at League of Legends, so if you enjoy it or learn something, then I hope you consider subscribing. Also, we have the summer discount for my course, the Ticket to Diamond Blueprint, so use code SUMMER for 20% off the course to learn everything you need to know in order to carry your games, and also so you can join the private Discord to talk with others that are on the same journey as you. Alright, so in the past, Dr. Mundo has been a pretty good jungler that when ahead could absolutely steamroll the other team, but in this rework, Riot really focused on making him a better top laner, and I think they definitely succeeded. So with this video, we'll be focusing on him primarily in the top lane. He is a viable jungler after they increase his damage to jungle monsters in the hotfix, but we're not really going to touch on that in this video. So let's first talk about some of his strengths and things you need to take advantage of with the new rework. The first one is his great lane poke. The old Mundo had some very oppressive lane poke with his Q, but Riot has really buffed up that poke to include his E as well. So make sure that you whittle down the HP of your opponent so that they are unable to all-in you, and if they do, well, we'll talk about that in a second. Mundo doesn't really have the greatest all-in potential pre-6, so if you can chunk your opponent with your Q and your E, you're going to be in a really good spot for a kill or to get them to recall and miss some gold. Mundo's second strength with this rework is his terrific counter engage. Now, Riot added an interesting game mechanic in Mundo's passive where when he takes CC, he'll drop an orb like Poppy passive that will heal him. This is great because a lot of low elo players probably have zero idea what is going on, and you can abuse it by baiting them to all in you, and then you can kill them by healing off of your passive as well as your ultimate, and then just chase them down with your Q and auto attacks. In the rework, they also changed Mundo's ultimate to heal him for 20% of his max health, which means the longer that you wait to use your ultimate, the more health you will instantly heal back. So Mundo has some great counter potential in lane. Now be careful though, because if you're ignited or they build grievous wounds, then you're only going to heal for about 60% of that amount, but it's a great way to bait them into thinking that you're almost dead and then heal like a fifth of your HP back. They also changed Mundo's E to give more attack damage when you are low on health. So staying low on HP to bait all-ins and use your abilities to get a kill is kind of OP, and you'll have to get some practice in and figure out the sweet spot for when to use your ultimate so you're not like at 0 HP, but you're also not at like 100, so that you get a little bit more AD when you're missing some health. But all of his abilities work really well together to chase down opponents after they blow their whole combo and try to all-in you. Mundo's third strength is kind of obvious, but it's that he's a tank. Many times in solo queue, compositions really don't matter, but sometimes they can determine who's going to win a game, and the better comp will just win most of the time. A well-rounded, balanced team composition will beat an all-AD team or a 4-marksman team many times over, so being able to draft a top laner like Mundo, who will be able to tank damage and help engage, will be a huge asset to your team, and over many games, you will see a difference in team fighting and objective control. There have been many times where my team had a window to take Baron, but we just didn't have anyone to tank it, so they would have been super risky takes, but it would have been super free if we just had a tank like Mundo. Sometimes you got to take one for the team and play a class of champions that your team just doesn't want to. I know many players like the flashy plays of Fiora or the combos of Gangplank, but sometimes just having a tank like Mundo can give your team the edge they need in order to win, which will give you that sweet LP and increase your rank. Mundo's fourth strength is that he's amazing against CC. Now he's amazing in team fights and skirmishes because with all of the CC coming at you, you can just kind of run around healing and throwing out damage, maybe pop your ultimate when you get low and then barely survive. In lanes like Cho'Gath and Shen, Mundo could just run around healing a ton and chasing them down because their CC is just going to pop his passive and not crowd control him like they were intending to. So you can eat a lot of damage, add some CC, and then slip out of the fights without dying. It's really an amazing thing, and I love how they added this passive. All right, now let's talk about Mundo's weaknesses, because although he was reworked and got a lot of changes, he still has a couple of major issues. So in a second, we're going to talk about Mundo's matchups, but there are some champions that have no CC and a ton of damage that can really mess up Mundo if he gets counterpicked. Champions like Gwen and Fiora are must bans because of their raw damage and mobility, and a good Mundo might be able to beat a bad player on those champions, but they have the raw natural advantage, so make sure that you either ban them out or learn how to play well in those counter matchups so that you can wait out the laning phase and do some damage in team fights. Mundo's second weakness is that he just gets kited very easily. If Mundo gets behind, he can get kited so hard. Maybe it's a Vayne or a Kalista or another ADC or just someone that he's laning against. If he gets behind, he doesn't have the damage to solo kill, and he doesn't have any gap closers or hard CC to like catch up to them and stun them. If he is ahead, he can use his Q to chase them down and kill them, but if they are just straight up stronger than him, there's not a ton that he can do. So I don't have a suggestion of how to counter this because it's just basic counterplay in the game, but you do need to be aware of it so you don't overextend in an all-in or try to hard dive the backline in a team fight without a plan, because you're just gonna get kited, and trust me, it's like the worst feeling in League. Mundo's third weakness is that he's weak to grievous wounds, and this is kind of obvious because he's a healing champion, but there are a lot of healing champions that are very popular in the meta right now, and players are getting better at building executioners or bramble vests, and if they see a Mundo plus like any other healing champion on the other team, they're probably going to build some grievous wounds. But that being said, if the other team just autopilots their build or straight up builds the wrong items, then Mundo can punish this very, very hard, and this happens a lot in low elo. Players like below plat don't understand how strong healing is, and that's why Mundo has almost a 55% win rate in bronze. So please be my guest and go take advantage of this in low elo so you can get that free LP. Okay, so I don't usually talk about matchups in these Ticket to Diamond videos, but I wanted to add it to this one because it's hard to blind pick Mundo into like every champion unless you're in bronze, because I would not worry about a Fiora or a Gwen beating you at that elo. But if you are in like maybe gold or platinum, then you might want to be a little bit more cognizant of the matchup because you can get punished really, really hard. So the hardest matchups for Mundo are champions that do a lot of damage while not having much CC. So examples are Kayle, Fiora, Gwen, and Kled. Kled is also inherently great against Mundo because of his anti-heal, and that's just the overall Achilles heel of Dr. Mundo. Some matchups are just terrific for Mundo, like Jax, because his Q and his E slow him, making it harder for Jax to dish out the damage he wants to. And champions that can stack HP well do really well into Jax because it's just the counter to him because he does a lot of hybrid damage. Mundo is also great into tanks that have CC because he'll never die when they're in a side lane, and Mundo can set up a free kill for his jungler with his Q slows. So overall, he is a very good pick in low elo and great into certain matchups higher up the ladder you go. Alright, now let's finish this off by talking about my top tips to carry your solo queue games, because trust me, if you want to climb, you're gonna have to grab some of these games by the belt and just pull it along with you. My first tip to carry is to play this champion in silver and below. Now yes, obviously this isn't really a tip about how to carry with Mundo, but he's such a forgiving champion in low elo that you should totally pick him up if you're trying to get out of iron, bronze, or silver. He's great for all of the reasons that we just talked about, and so then once you do that, once you pick him up and start playing him, you can implement some of these other techniques. The second tip is to be careful to not get caught in the river early in the game. There are many mid lane champions that just shouldn't be roaming or taking every fight in the river, and the same concept applies to Mundo in the top lane. Don't randomly invade or start fighting the jungler over Scuttle Crab because you're a really easy kill early in the game, because like any tank, you don't have any items yet and your kit is designed for when you're tanky. So you have to kind of chill out in the early game, don't take a lot of risks, and just farm up and get those tank items so you can start being useful. The third tip to carry is to get priority in your lane by hitting minions so that you can use your Q and your E to harass. One of the benefits of pushing the wave early is that you hit your level up sooner and you have the space to use your Q and your E to harass your opponent, so you can just use your autos on the wave. When you're the one being pushed in, you oftentimes have to use your abilities to just grab some CS, and you're not going to be able to use it on your opponent to harass them. So once you crash the wave under the opposing tower, you should be able to continue to harass them while they try and farm. This will deny a lot of gold, which will propel you farther into the lead. But if you decide to do this, then quickly drop a ward so you don't get ganked and throw your advantage. Alright, the last tip to carry with Dr. Mundo after his rework, if you want to get the rank that you want, besides going and picking up the Ticket to Diamond blueprint using the code SUMMER for 20% off, you can focus on protecting your backline in team fights if they are even or ahead. Now this is a pretty universal principle for team fighting in general, but especially because Mundo lacks hard CC and gap closers, pushing through the entire enemy team and killing the ADC is usually not an option for you. Instead, slowing your enemies and being a meat shield for your backline is your best game plan. There are times where you might have a shot at killing the ADC if you hit all of your Qs, and if so, go for it. You should be looking to get picks with your slows and then peeling for your carries. Even if they suck, and I know they do in low elo, and they keep getting caught out, it will still be the best thing that you can do. Mundo is just not a champion that can get to the backline very easily unless you're like 10-0, but by that point you'll just kill everyone anyway, so it doesn't matter in what order. Alright guys, I hope you learned something in this video and have a game plan for Mundo, and as always, this has been Snowta. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.